So we have been talking about how to get your brain from below the line to above the line, aka how to get your brain from a fearful, threatened fight or flight state, that's your brain being below the line, and getting your brain into an unfearful, unthreatened flow state. That's your brain being above the line. And because, like I told you in part one of this series, which I've linked above, when your brain is in flow, it turns out that you do way better work, way better problem solving, way better prioritization, way better resting, way better everything than when your brain is in fight or flight. And the cognitive illusion that high achievers often fall prey to is that they think that the frantic overworking that they do when they're in fight or flight is their best performance. And they don't realize that they have a whole universe of even higher performance available to them if they can just get their brain out of fight or flight and back into flow. And as a total bonus, that flow driven high performance actually feels better too, and it doesn't burn you out. Talk about a total win win. Now, it is totally normal that your brain gets stuck below the line sometimes. Like I told you in part two of this series, which I've also linked above, healthy human brains sometimes need manual intervention to get out of fight or flight. Just like how healthy human immune systems sometimes need a little bit of Tylenol to stop them from running a fever that's a bit too hot for your body. And we've been talking about the quote unquote mental Tylenol that can flip your brain back above the line. They are the 5 R's: recognize, reposition, reveal, reframe, and repeat. We've covered the first three: recognize, reposition, and reveal in previous parts of the series. I've linked them all above. So by now, you first off recognize that your brain is below the line and that your first priority is to get it back above the line before you do anything else. You've also repositioned yourself so that you are the outside observer of all the thoughts and feelings that are moving through you, rather than being in the middle of the storm, believing and buying into everything your brain is telling you. And you've also revealed the automatic logic that sent your brain below the line by asking yourself, what is the lose-lose framing of this situation that my brain came up with? Because 99% of the time, the reason your brain goes into a threatened, fearful state is because it feels like it's been backed into a corner with no good options. And you might have revealed a lose-lose framing for yourself, like, I need to prove myself to my boss, but I also disagree with what they're telling me to do. Or I need to do great work, but I can't work as many hours as I used to anymore. Or I've been getting feedback that I need to speak up more, but I can't say something stupid or I'm going to ruin my reputation. Or even I have so much I need to get done, but I don't have time to do all of it. Today, we're going to cover the fourth R, which is reframe, and we're going to reframe these lose-lose framings. Here are 3 ways to do just that. Reframe number 1, give each side of the lose-lose a little bit of a wiggle. Now that you can see both sides of the lose-lose that your brain has framed up, see if you can wiggle one of those sides. Sometimes one little wiggle is all it takes for the whole tower of logic to come tumbling down, just like a Jenga tower collapsing when you remove one block. So if your brain is telling you, I have so much I need to get done, but I just don't have enough time to do it all, give each of those 2 sides a little bit of a wiggle. When your brain says, I have so much I need to get done, do you? Does everything really need to get done today? What can wait till tomorrow, next week, next month, even next quarter? And when your brain tells you, but I don't have enough time to do it all, is that true? Does everything need to take as long as you think it does? What are the 80-20 quick and dirty solutions that you could apply here? When you wiggle each side of the lose-lose, you might discover that one or both of the loses actually isn't true. And if that's the case, you're no longer in a lose-lose situation. You're no longer backed into a corner with no good options, and your brain will come back above the line. Reframe number 2, how can you have it all? Lose-lose framings often imply a trade-off between 2 things. And very often, your brain just assumes that there has to be a trade-off between 2 things that you care about without even looking for the no trade-off option. So if your brain is telling you, I need to prove myself to my boss, but I also disagree with what they're telling me to do, your brain is assuming that impressing your boss and disagreeing with your boss are mutually exclusive options. It's assuming that there has to be a trade-off between what they want and what you want, that there has to be a trade-off between approval and authenticity. But do you even need to make that trade-off? How can you have both? How can you both impress your boss and do what you think is right for the business? And when you frame it that way, your brain might quickly see, oh yeah, me putting forth my opinion and doing the work to figure out how to bridge the gap between my perspective and my boss's perspective, That's actually probably more impressive and more helpful than me just assuming I'm wrong, assuming my boss is right, and blindly doing whatever they say. But your brain won't generate that answer if you don't first ask it the question: how can we have it all, brain? What is the no trade-off option here? And once your brain starts working on the no trade-off option, it'll see that you're not backed into a corner with no good options, and your brain will come back above the line. Finally, reframe number 3. How is this a win-win? Many situations are kind of like a choice between two glasses that are both half full and also both half empty. And you can see it as a choice between two half empty glasses, that's a lose-lose framing, or you can also see it as a choice between two half full glasses, and that's the win-win framing. So if your brain's telling you, I've been getting feedback that I need to speak up more, but I also don't want to say something stupid and ruin my reputation, you can see this as a lose-lose choice. You can say, well, either I stay silent and people keep thinking I don't have anything to add to the conversation, so that's me being a dumbass, or I can say something and risk hurting my reputation. That's also me being a dumbass. Total lose-lose framing. But you can also see this as a win-win choice. You can tell yourself, either I keep actively listening and gathering more information before I jump in, that's me being smart, or I jump in and I get one more rep and I gather more data about how to best contribute to these conversations. That's also me being smart. And when the choice in front of you is a win-win instead of a lose-lose, you're no longer backed into a corner with no good options, and your brain will come back above the line. So I want you to add one more skill to the sequence today. First, I want you to recognize when your brain has gone below the line. Then I want you to reposition yourself so that you are the observer of the storm inside your brain instead of being caught in the middle of the rain. I want you to reveal your brain's below the line logic by asking, what is the lose-lose framing that my brain has come up with? And then I want you to reframe that lose-lose into a win-win, either by wiggling one of the sides of the lose-lose and realizing it's not actually true, or by asking yourself how you can have it all without any trade-offs, or by seeing the win-win side of your options. Tomorrow, we are going to cover the last R in this sequence, which is repeat, because getting your brain to stay above the line is half logic and half habit. It's half reframing and it's half reminding. It's half writing the new line of code that outputs the result you want, and it's half updating the system to actually reference that new line of code in all the places where it's supposed to. Or to say this in the most literal and neurological way, the work is half building the new neural pathway that brings your brain back above the line, and it's half accessing that new neural pathway in all the relevant situations. And that second half of habit building and repeating is all what repeat is about. So make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter so you don't miss a thing. You can subscribe at poojav.substack.com, or I've also linked it above. And I want you to know, there is a limit to how much I can get your brain out of fight or flight and back into flow over a series of videos. I work really hard to make these videos as effective as possible for your brain, and it still doesn't hold a candle to what I can do if you come and talk to me. So if you listen to all this and your brain is still below the line, if you're still in fight or flight and you're not quite in flow yet, come talk to me and let me help you. You can drop by anytime for a no strings attached coffee chat. You just come and tell me what's on your mind, what problem you're facing that's got you feeling stressed out and stuck, and I will help you pull your brain from fight or flight to flow so you can see the best way to handle your situation. And I'm also happy to just give you some advice based on the hundreds of hours I've spent coaching high achievers just like you in very similar situations. And then off you go on your merry way, unstressed, unstuck, and back in flow. The link to book a coffee chat is above. Or you can also book a consult call and we can map out what a full coaching engagement might look like. Because I can pull your brain from fight or flight to flow one time in an hour, but I can't teach you the whole toolkit for you to do that consistently and repeatably by yourself in just 1 hour. But I can teach you that toolkit over the course of a coaching package. And the sooner you learn the skill, the sooner you are going to do even better work, stop feeling like crap about yourself for not doing enough, and sustain that high performance without burning out. Let's start today. The link to book a free consult call is above, or if you're listening on Instagram, all the links are in my bio, or if you're listening in the podcast, all the links are in the episode description.